beautiful souls. This is Quinn Curtis, and you are listening to Joyful Living. And I am so excited because today we have a really special guest. One of my sweet friends, Dr. Mariza Snyder, is here joining us today. And it is going to be such a fun conversation. She is such a just jubilant, beautiful soul that you just cannot help but feel happier and more joyful just being around her. So I know this is going to be such a fun conversation as we dive in and look at some of these fun topics. And let's see, before I fully bring Mariza in, let me just set the stage a little bit and give you some background information about her bio. Dr. Mariza is a passionate wellness practitioner and public speaker with over 8 years, there we go, of experience focusing on women's health, which is so cool. I love that you focus there. It's going to be so fun to chat this podcast. She leads a community of women who educate about nutrition, detox programs, self-care, and essential oils. She graduated cum laude from Life Chiropractic College West in 2008 and has a background in biochemistry and certifications in nutrition and aromatherapy. So truly a whole body perspective, which I also love. Dr. Mariza became passionate about women's health after her own health issues. Through functional medicine, whole foods, and self-care rituals, she was able to heal her adrenal dysregulation and chronic migraines related to hormones. So today, Dr. Mariza educates women across the nation with her expertise in natural solutions and nutrition and serves as an educator on topics relating to women's hormone health. And she's an author of 5 best-selling nutrition books: the DASH Diet Cookbook, which was featured on Dr. Oz, the Low Glycemic Index Slow Cooker, the Antioxidant Counter, the Water Infusion Detox Book, and her latest book, which is the Matcha Miracle. And she's currently working on her 6th book, The Smart Mom's Guide to Essential Oils. And you can definitely head to her website, drmariza.com, for women's health tips, including recipes, remedies, and so much more. So Mariza, thank you so much for being on and welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, Quinn. This is such a blessing. You are just making my day.
You're so sweet. I just love whenever we get to talk or connect. It's like, the clouds parted and the sun is shining. Like, it's always so happy and I love it.
It's you, girl. You bring it.
Well, it's you as well. And I'm excited because my first question I always ask all of my guests is, what does joyful living look like for you? I'm really excited to hear what your flavor of joyful living is like.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that question. And it's such a juicy question. Ooh, it's, for me, it's living in flow. You living in flow and life doesn't, clearly life isn't perfect and little things are going to happen, little bumps in the road, but like coming into the day, with my wonderful, my morning routine, my wonderful habits that I start with, kind of getting centered into what I want to create and what do I want to intend. Because I feel like when I come into my day with the intention of showing up and serving and connecting with people, like I am my best self and I'm my happiest self. When I get to create that connection and get to connect with amazing women like yourself. And so a lot of that brings joy to my life. And taking moments, I love moments where my life is punctuated in happy rituals like impromptu dances or listening to my favorite Stevie Wonder song. And so a lot of that is I just try to thread it throughout my day. And if I do find myself getting a little overwhelmed or a little stressed, when I look at my calendar and I think, well, goodness, who booked all of this? Me.
Such a good question.
Who did this? That I have some really wonderful resources to get me back on that happy track. Because I know that when I serve in joy, when I show up in joy, that so much it just comes back around. And so I always go back to that place where I'm like, okay, remember, if joy is the life that I want to create and the life that I want to experience, how can I ensure that it radiates from me? And even if I'm feeling like a grouchy pants or, I have little ways to kind of transform that out so I'm not stuck in that little spot.
I want to dive in deeper in some of these and hear more about it. But I love that setup. That's so cool. And I think it goes without, or I think we should mention now that Mariza has this amazing project that she's been working on that absolutely relates to everything she just shared and totally will relate with the rest of our conversation here. But Mariza's actually put on this beautiful Women's Balance Summit, and it's coming up on August 4th through the 7th, and it's something that you can attend online. But I love the tagline because it's so what this conversation is all about. So it's the Women's Balance Summit. The tagline is "Say goodbye to overwhelm and create success with your mind, body, and your career." So if there was ever a need for balance, right, just like Mariza was just saying, like, who scheduled all of this? I think that we can all relate with that, right? Where we're like, where did my crazy busy life actually come from? Oh, shoot, it was from me. So I love that you are bringing this topic more into the forefront. And I have to commend you because I think it's a topic that takes courage to really take a stand for, because I'm curious to hear your insights on this, Mariza, but I know that in the circles that I've run in, and I know we run in similar circles as well, but that I feel like balance and like life balance has almost become a swear word. Like that people are like, oh yeah, that doesn't exist, and they just throw it out. Have you noticed that as well?
Absolutely. What I've noticed, and a lot of people talk about balance being a myth, and absolutely it
Yeah.
could definitely be. I think it's the implication of what balance means to women, that it's one more thing on our to-do list, that maybe they bring it back to like, oh my gosh, now I have to be perfect in a balanced life. I've got to like be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, have the perfect career, and be able to juggle and make a cake at the same time. You know, juggle with one hand though, only the right hand.
True.
And
True.
I think when we talk about creating, like being balanced, it's just it's that one more perfection to-do list. And that's not what we're trying to create. So I think it's, allows me to explore that conversation a little bit more and tease out exactly what that is. Because at the end of the day, life is about flow. And as women, we are incredible multitaskers. And as women, we're very giving, we're very nurturing. We tend to give a lot. And I see the repercussions of some of that over giving, if I could say that, because a lot of women, after giving and giving, then they end up with me. They come, I get them.
In your office. Yep.
Exactly. And we have to kind of figure out and really allow women that permission to go in and start to take care of themselves. And so when we live in a time right now where we as women have more opportunity than ever before, I find that we're really trying to seize it. We really want that amazing career, or maybe not, or we want to take on all of these other amazing projects. We can create this really incredible full life, but things can kind of come out of kilter a little bit. And so that's really what this is about, is that you and I, like I said, we are in the same circles, and we both work with women, particularly women who are moms and women who are wives, but also women who are entrepreneurs that want to flow with all of it. And I think sometimes they feel pulled one direction or pulled the other direction, and shame and guilt plays a role in that. And ultimately what can happen is that the success that they're trying for gets kind of mumbled and jumbled up, and they're not able to create exactly what they want.
That is so true. And I wonder if you would mind going even deeper on that, because I feel like, God, there's so much there. And as far as like what you see specifically are blocks that come up in limiting us being able to go into flow and live in flow, and trying to, I mean, maybe it's even just off the tangent of the trying to do it all, have it all kind of a crazy thing that we've done.
Absolutely.
But what do you see even deeper with that?
Ooh, what I see is I see me is what I see. I mean, I grew up, I see my mom. I see a single mother with, two girls, trying to do a career, trying to love a career, but also trying to survive and feeling like she's got to survive. And so there's a word that I love to use, or it's called, well, it's technically, I wouldn't call it a condition, but it's a syndrome, rushing women's syndrome. And this was coined by Dr. Libby Weaver. And I remember not to say, and I'm still very busy and very productive, but I fight that urge to be that rushing woman. But it's the person who is, the shoulda, and I'm super busy. Like when you get on the phone with your friend and you're asking her how she's doing, she's like, oh my God, I'm so busy and I got all these things to do. And you immediately know that they're living in a pretty stressed environment and there's not a lot of flow going on. They're just racing from one thing to the next. And what happens when we're racing from one thing to the next? Well, one, throw health out the window. It's so hard to focus on yourself when you've got all of these other demands and demands from other people, or it's always somebody else's demands that you're trying to meet, and you're totally forgetting about your own specific needs. And so when I remember growing up, I grew up with my mom, who was always that rushing woman, and I always thought personally that that's what a successful woman looked like. I was like, it's got to be what a successful woman looks like. So I remember even being in high school, like when we had our little 10-minute break, I was like the ASB president. I was in every organization. I played soccer. I was always running from one side to the next. And I was always so proud of myself. At least I thought, because I thought I was going to become that woman, like that woman who was always accomplishing things and always, getting things done. And, in my mid-20s is all of that really came to a crashing halt for me. I started developing, as I mentioned in my bio, I had chronic migraines all the time. I had a lot of stuff going on. And really what it was about was my body was taking the toll of my life, and it wasn't that my life didn't feel joyful. It felt so busy, and I felt like I was being tethered in so many directions. I wasn't taking any moments to breathe, but I sure was accomplishing a lot. I sure was reaching whatever this level of perfection was supposed to be, and completely destroying my body at the same time. And we're seeing that younger and younger in women today, in our 20s and our 30s, that they're coming to practitioners, they're coming to the doctor's office, just really wound up due to all of the stress, being tethered to their phone and tethered to whatever somebody else needs to have them do. And in that process, I feel like we lose the joy of living. We don't necessarily feel joy anymore. We just feel like we're on a hamster wheel at that point. And so when we start to bring in the conversation of creating balance, no wonder it feels like it's like the tipping point. No wonder it feels like, oh my gosh, are you really bringing one more thing to my plate? Do you already see that I've got all of this other stuff going on? But we've got to really change that conversation. And what we're talking about when it becomes balance is that there is a way that we can start to change the way that we're living our life. And not to say that I'm trying to take away, all of the things that we're doing. What I'm saying is that we've got to kind of stop the glorification of busy. That
love that. Like, pause right there. Yes. Stop the glorification of busy. Beautiful. I love that line. Okay, keep going.
Because I was living in it. I was like, yes. I am glorified busy. I am the superwoman of the day. And I didn't realize that is I wasn't showing up as a superwoman. Not really. I wasn't taking care of, when we're able to fuel and we're able to love ourselves and we're able to live in that joy, we show up so much better than if you get a half part of me, or you get a distracted me, or you get an unfueled and a me that's being divided. And so I had to learn the hard way that in order for me to really show up for people, in order for me to really take care of my tribe and my community and my family, that I had to really step back and start working on me. And what I realized is that I get just as much done. It's different because I'm choosing to prioritize the things that matter. So I ask myself a lot of questions like, what does my body need right now? I'm gut checking. I'm checking in. I'm like, is that project really going to serve me? Is that project going to serve me and my family? So it's so easy for us to say yes to so many things, and then wake up the next day and wonder, oh my gosh, what happened? How did all of this come to be? And so I think that communication of checking up, like, does this make me feel joyful? How do I feel when I think about this project? And really getting cued into what feeds your soul soul and what makes you thrive. Because as we know, life is so short, and really it should be punctuated with the things that we love and enjoy. And so much of what we do every single day can really be about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you're saying this, I feel like I can, like, well, first of all, like, I completely agree with what you're saying about how it's just happening younger and younger. And in fact, one of the cute girls that I work with that's, just in college and like her whole life is ahead of her, she said to me recently, I operate best, just like my mom, on just like 2 to 4 hours of sleep a night and doing tons of things. Which is like so the myth right now, right? I know. I was like, deep breath, like, do not believe that. But so I think there's that element, just like you're saying. And then I also feel like there's a major element of, well, if I slow down, what is everybody else going to think of me? Because we have glorified busy so much, then like balance almost can look like laziness or entitlement, even though it's not that if you're doing it, if it's a wholehearted. And do you know where I'm going with this? Like, it's
Absolutely.
Just the comparison game, I think, too, that keeps us stuck, that we're like, well, I've got to run as fast as that person, right?
Absolutely. And as you know better than I, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
There goes your joy out the door. And I think we have to be okay with the fact we know we have to be okay with the fact that we have to do what's right for ourselves, what's right for our body, and what's right for creating the life that we want to live. We're not going to be all things to everybody. And I think it's okay. When I started releasing some things and letting go of some things, I was amazed actually at how often women were understanding. And I think that when women had respect for it, because they're like, oh, wow, that's a very empowered decision that you're making there. And I think a lot of us want to be in that position that we can make those empowered decisions and that we can listen to our bodies and do the things that fill us up and make us joyful. There definitely is a concern and a fear, but once you let that go and you recognize that you are equally as important and that you can be kind to yourself and you can give yourself permission to experience the joys of connecting with your children, to experience the joys of stepping outside and being in nature, listening to your favorite song. And even if these are just little mini joys, little mini 5-minute punctuations, little mini rituals, it's going to feel different. You're going to let go of those comparisons. I think the more that we connect with women, and we definitely want to find a tribe with women who align on this vision and this purpose, because if there are people that are the toxic vampires, these people who are your energy suckers that are making you feel like you're having to compare yourself, well, maybe they got to go too.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're saying that, I remember when I was really cutting back, kind of in that same place of awareness as you described in your own journey, it felt to me as I was driving on the freeway one day of like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get off the freeway and just be on like that frontage road or the country road even. But as long as I am right next to the freeway all the time, I will always feel like I am going slow or I'm not going to get to where I want to be. Because I think there's a lot of fear about that in our systems too, of like, wait a minute, if I slow down, it looks like everybody else is going so fast and they're going to reach their goals and their dreams like so much faster. And if I slow down, then that just adds all these years onto my journey. When in reality, it actually gives you the stamina and the energy and the creativity and everything else that you need to actually create what you desire even sooner. Don't you think? Like,
absolutely.
You've lived that. I know. I love that. Anyways, yeah, dive in. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, I think about it, it's twofold in that conversation. One, you have to recognize the repercussions of your body. And I've been there. I mean, I crashed at 24, 25 years old. And I mean, I crashed. Things were falling to the wayside and way too young to be in that particular scenario. And we're seeing more and more people. So I've learned my lesson. I know the repercussions of not living a life in joy and doing way too much. Can I over accomplish? Can I just be insanely busy? Absolutely. I know how to be that woman. but it's not serving me. It's not serving my relationships. It's not feeding my soul. And it surely is not helping me to thrive so that I can continue to serve people for many, many years to come. So I think that's the one thing we have to remind ourselves of is what is the repercussions of just taking care of our body and how, and does our body deserve the kind of love and appreciation and time and effort and consideration that we put into everything else? And then the next piece is, definitely the concern that if I don't just keep on moving with the Joneses, I don't keep up with the girl, the super girl on Instagram, I am not doing my deal. I am not going to create what I want to create. But you would be so surprised. And one of the things I love about the summit is I brought a lot of amazing women on. I brought on boss moms. I brought on women who know how to manifest through affirmations and all of these skill sets, all of these resources, because I want you to have what you want. I want you to be able to create the life that you want, the dreams that you want to have, the goals that you want to have. And it's important to have those. And I have goals and I have dreams and I reevaluate those every 90 days because, things shift so much in 90-day times. And there are things that are very much on my priority list. Absolutely. There's non-negotiables, and there's non-negotiables in terms of what I want to create joy. And then there's non-negotiables in terms of what I want to create in my career. But what are non-negotiables for me is, the self-care that is necessary to make sure that I show up every day and that I'm taking time for myself through rituals, through connecting with girlfriends, through journaling, whatever that may be that fuels my soul and has me showing up with that joy so that I continue to serve. Like if those things fall to the wayside, then I assure you that the real dreams, the real goals that I have are most likely not going to come to fruition.
I love it. And as you're speaking, I'm just really recognizing how I think one of the things that I've always really admired about you the most is, well, there's so much, but one of the things, right, is that you have such a powerful level of clarity and certainty with yourself and your life. And so I would love if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of the backstory of that, because has it always been that way? Have you just always known exactly very clearly, or has there been a process in getting to this point of clarity, and especially with finding it in greater balance and harmony with your health and everything else?
Absolutely. Well, I think the health aspect was really the biggest piece for me because like I said, I always had a vision, always had a dream of what I wanted. It's definitely changed. So initially I wanted to be a medical doctor. I wanted to be a doctor that took care of children because, to be honest, my migraines started much younger in life. I had them for over 15 years and I suffered a lot. I was on medications and I missed out on school events. I missed out on slumber parties. I missed out on a lot as a kid. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't want other children to suffer that way. And as I moved into heading off to medical school, I had this amazing, multifunctional holistic practice that I went to. A scientist at the lab that I was working at when I was a biochemist, she had recommended to me because I was getting, my migraines were at their pinnacle. This was when I was 24. I want to say they were at their worst. And she was like, I have somebody. And at that point, after 15 years, I was pretty much done. Like the doctors had told me it was something I was going to have to live with, and I believed it. And so when she recommended somebody, the only reason why I even went to them is because they were like a half a mile off the freeway on my way home. That was the only reason. I was like, all right, I have to pass this place every single day anyway. I might as well just stop in.
I love it.
And after 3 months of transformation, and it was emotional transformation, it was reducing stress, nutrition. There were so many components because remember, there are so many components to healing. It was such an integrative approach. I never even knew this approach existed. Like this never was in my paradigm. I was on the allopathic track. I was taking my medicine. Anytime you heard me, you could hear the pills in my purse. Like as long as I had those, I could catch the migraine. I was good to go. And, But after 3 months of being in this practice, 3 to 4 months, I was practically completely healed of my migraines. And it was such a paradigm shift. All of a sudden, I realized that our bodies were so incredibly miraculous, that we had this incredible innate ability to heal if someone could just help facilitate that process. And that was when the light bulb went on. And it became, at that same time, I started looking at my life a little bit differently. I started recognizing the issues that my mom was dealing with, the chronic stress, the chronic rushing women's syndrome. Her hormones were at just a crashing halt as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming my mom. I'm experiencing so many of the same symptoms that my mom was experiencing. And I realized that was the path I wanted to focus on. And I looked around at the landscape of around me, and I realized I and my mom weren't the only women dealing with this. And I also realized that we really weren't taking care of women, like, at all. And that's when it really became a big part of my work. I was just like, I've got to open the door for women. And what I also saw is that we as women, well, we're taking care of everybody else. And I'm like, well, we got to make that change. We've got to start taking care of women. And so that's when this work really began to get focused. And really what I saw a lot of was that we needed to create simplicity, that women were super busy, that we were taking care of a lot of people, and we didn't have everything that I heard in my practice is, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. That was probably the number one thing I heard is, I'm too busy. And I was like, but your health is down the crapper. Like, you're telling me you're too busy for your health at this point? And that was the real wake up call. And so, what's kind of led me to even this summit was like, okay, well, how can we do baby steps? And it's not even, and what I began to realize, because at first it was adrenal health, it was hormone health, it was thyroid health, and I was segmenting women into conditions. I'm like, okay, well, she's got this condition, she's got this condition. And it was a very physical process. I was thinking very much like a doctor. And then what I began to realize is that it was about a belief. It was a belief system that we had created, that women had thought that they were broken, and that we were at fault for everything that was happening in our life, and that we didn't necessarily know how to fix it, and it was going to stay broken. And as long as we were able to take care of the other people and kind of do the thing, we kind of just lived with this fact that we were just going to stay this way. And what I was hoping to bring on here today was really to allow women to recognize that, one, we're not broken, and we have the ability to heal, and we have the ability to really create the life that we want to live, but we've got to be an active participant in it.
And love it.
And so, so that's a big part of how I've developed this. I think it's under this premise and this vision that I want for women what took me so long to figure out. And I also, because we're such givers and providers of this world, that I just really want us to be living in that joy, because when mama's happy and the wife is happy, everyone is happy. Like, there's the sunshine that happens. And I think about you, Quinn, being just this incredible entrepreneur and mother and wife, and how you've been able to really reach in and find ways to create that. But I bet it was a practice. I bet it's something that you work on every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which I think is, here again, one of the things, I'm sure you cover this a lot in your summit, we so want the quick fix. Like, even people coming to your office probably are like, no, oh shoot, this is a practice. This is like a life practice shift. And it's kind of a letdown, because we want just the pill that's going to make it all better, or the one change, and then our lives are going to be amazing. But it really is a practice, right?
It is. And I think that's the first thing you have to tell them. I say the first thing that we start this journey with self-awareness. It's first recognizing that, I would like to shift some things in my life. This is what I want. This is what I create. So when I think about my goals and I think about my vision, living a joyful life, living a life of abundance is definitely on that list. But it's a practice for me every single day. Pulling myself from that position of give, and I'm broken, and all of the negative self-talk that I was doing to myself, still accomplishing a lot, but always the negative self-talk, because it was never enough. It was never enough. There was always more to be done. I could could always be better. I could have written 8 books by now instead of only 5. Whatever it was but you can always do that to yourself. And so again, that permission, that self-awareness, that's so important, and recognizing, okay, these are the things that I need to look at in order to get myself right. But then also, like I said, that kindness that needs to also happen as well. Being kind to ourselves. It's interesting because I think about how we treat our children, our nephews, our nieces, and we are so kind to our children. When they hurt themselves or they don't feel good, we're willing to investigate that. We're willing to see what's going on there. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't even listen to it. We're just like, meh. Moving on. And so I always want to remind women that we should be as kind to our bodies and as kind to ourselves in creating the life that we want to live, just like we are to our children or to our nieces and nephews. That's how we should be treating ourselves.
Oh, it's so, so true. And I love these key points. These are so, so crucial. And I feel like, God, it's so simple when we sit and look at it, right? We're like, oh, you just take care of yourself, and oh, you just be kind to yourself. But there is so much blocking it. So as you've helped guide people with that unraveling, I love how you said first is self-awareness. Is there any kind of tips or insights that you'd like to add in how to really shift out of that old practice, the practice of self-betrayal, self-denial, ignoring, distracting, overrunning your system, and really shifting into this?
Absolutely. So a lot of it's about asking yourself those questions. So you want to be willing to ask yourself the questions in order for you to really kind of dive in to see what you need or what you want to create. Just like we ask other people questions about what they want to create, especially if you're an entrepreneur, most likely you're asking other people, well, what are your dreams and what do you want to create? And so I think taking time to journal is important, really kind of figuring out what you want. And so questions to be asking yourself is especially if it's around health as well, if it's health that you're concerned with. But what is my body saying no to? Or what am I saying no to? You'll be amazed at what's going to come up. You're going to be like, oh, right, that's not really serving me. And another question I love to ask is, what yes is my body or am I trying to finally make? What do I really want to say yes to? And so asking those questions, I also feel like it's important. I love journaling. I love the idea of journaling. And this doesn't have to be more than a couple of minutes, maybe even 5 minutes when you're getting down to the root of what it is that you want to create. But when I talk about and I educate on people how to create your dreams or how to create goals, it's really hard to kind of to create a plan without the dreams and goals on the table. So good to know where you start, where you want to go, and then we can move forward with a game plan. And then one of the things I love is, when we're thinking about the life that we want to have, when we're thinking about even the joyful life that we want to create, create something that's visual. So I love vision boards. I love visualizations. And I love affirmations as well. Because I think about, when we're talking about that self-talk, it could be the negative self-talk or it could be the comparison. You're literally creating those neural pathways, and you're going to continue to reestablish those neural pathways. You think about it in the snow, you're shoveling a path through your driveway to your front door, right? And every single day, every time you're self-talking, you're just shoveling that same path. Well, again, it's always going to be easier to go back to the shoveled path opposed to shoveling a new path. But that's exactly unfortunately, that's what needs to happen. We've got to change that conversation. We've got to change that talk that we're having with ourselves about what we want to create. And so I love affirmations or even afformations. And, things like I'm in the right place at the right time and thriving. That's a favorite affirmation that I love to say, that I'm safe and my life is peaceful, that every day I create joy in the life that I have. And those are the types of things. And I know, I'll be honest with you, I was having a moment last night as I was prepping for my day and for my week. We're leaving town, and I was like, oh no, are we going to get it all done? And I had to take a step back and I went to my affirmations because I was like, okay, what do I have that's going to help me recenter, refocus? Because I felt like at that moment I was tethered in a place of stress, and I felt like I was kind of doggy paddling, like I was barely on the surface of the water. And I was like, okay, Mariza, like, where are your tools? Where are the tool sets that you can go back to? And so I grabbed one of my essential oils because I love how energetic and how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
And it was wild orange, and I just love it. It's just pure abundance and
so
sunshine,
good.
right?
Yes.
So I put a Stevie Wonder song on. So I put on Signed, Sealed, Delivered, because music always pulls me out of my funk, right? Gets me to a good place. And I went to my affirmations, which are on my closet door, and I started reading them out. And I first started, because I love Tiffany Peterson. I love some of the wonderful techniques she uses. So she always says, talk about what you accomplished that day. And I was really having a moment about it. I was like, well, what did I accomplish today? Because I was just being mean to myself. And so I kind of mumbled some things that I had done for myself that day. And I was like, I need to get to these affirmations. Can we get to step 2? And so I get to the affirmations. And I start reading them off, and they're affirmations that are designed they're to create and cultivate joy in my life, to create and cultivate the dreams that I want to create, and to remind myself how powerful, how happy I am and how grateful I am that I've got this beautiful life. And after reading all those affirmations, and I got my little oil, I've got my, what I call like my emergency toolkit here. I got my Stevie in the background. I was able to get back to that place. It took like 2 minutes. And I love that habit. I had that resource that I could go to when I found myself in that situation. And it took literally 2 minutes. And yes, did it feel like I had a lot of other things that I could have been doing right then and there? Absolutely. Yes, were the dishes over here and the husband was calling me over here? Absolutely. But what was 2 minutes in my day? Well, I will tell you, it was a lot, in the sense that it transformed where I was at. But 2 minutes in my day is nothing. Nothing. It didn't stop me. It didn't slow me down. It didn't prevent me from getting what I was going to get done, but I will tell you, it saved me from heading into that talk track of not living in joy. And so when we're talking about the different types of things that we can utilize, there's a lot of different things that we can do within 1 minute to 5 minutes that can really move the needle, that can tweak the way that we're feeling, that gets us back on track to feeling centered and in flow, because it's never going to be fully in flow. And Quinn, I know you know this too. We both know this, and that's okay. As long as you know how that internal compass, and you've got those resources that can bring you back into flow.
Oh my gosh, I love this all so much, and I'm so excited because I think that was a huge aha that you just shared for everybody, of that literally, like that story that we don't have time, we can't slow down, but that it really can take like 1 to 5 minutes, even just like 1 minute, 2 minutes, for you to have that entire shift and get re-energized again. That is profound, Mariza. I'm so grateful you shared that.
Absolutely. Well, I was sitting today, and I had a mentor call with one of my good friends, but also a woman I get to work with. And I'm in the house. I'm pretty much connected to my computer and microphone all day today. And I'm looking outside, and I can see the lake outside of my house. And I was like, I need my 10 minutes. I need my 10 minutes to re-energize with nature. And it's not, the perfect. I've got my yoga outfit on. I've got my oils with me. Like the thing you see, right? It's not that. I'm on the phone with her. I'm kind of dressed, and I got clothes on, but I'm not looking super cute.
Instagrammable,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's definitely, you're not taking a picture of this, right? And I go outside, and I'm on this call, and like I said, I was actually working when I went outside, but I went outside and I knew I was going to be on the call for 20 minutes, and I just did a little 20-minute perimeter, right? And I had my little flats on, so I thought to take off my shoes and put my feet in the grass and see the lake. And again, I'm still handling business. And as the call's wrapping up, I'm heading back to the house because I know I've got another thing coming up. And that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about creating that flow, is that your beautiful habits, those habits of joy, those habits of self-care, they can be punctuated in with the things that you also got to do. And that's how I've been able to create it. My life is very full, it's very busy, and so is yours. And I think about, I know that Quinn, you're having those impromptu dance parties and then getting back to
Yes.
business. And it could even be that you are having a little dance party and you're conceiving a podcast idea or a blog idea, and
Yeah.
so there's no perfect way that it needs to look. It just really needs to be aligned with your soul, and it needs to be aligned with what makes you happy. And the best way that I know how to do that is to ask yourself questions, and to figure out what you want and what you don't want.
Oh my gosh, this is all so, so good. And I love just even in asking yourself a question and like caring to hear the answer, right? Because you were saying earlier, which is so true, how so often we don't even stop to ask ourselves. We don't even offer ourselves the kindness of that, how it really is shifting how we value ourselves and our contribution. And so literally, it's such a funny thing that our minds do, right? Where we're like, I'm so busy and everybody's counting on me, so there's no room for me to take care of me. But in reality, like if everybody is counting on you, and if there are all these pieces in your world that you're orchestrating, like you are valued, you are needed, and we should see that more easily, right? Or I don't know, it's just so funny how we don't. So I love what you're bringing up, Mariza.
Yeah, we don't we it's really the thing, and it's so funny because the 5 minute walk or the breathing, exercising, the pausing, all of those things are actually quite simple, and they really don't take a lot of time. It's where we get stuck is the deciding to want to do those things, the deciding that those things are right for us. Because once we make the decisions that those are the things that are going to nourish us, and those become non-negotiables, right? They're like, okay, these are the things that I am going to do, and it's going to allow me to serve even more, to show up even more, to really create that career I really want to love. But we have to get to that place where we're choosing in and we're deciding in. And I think that's where women really have the struggle, is we don't get to that place where we say yes.
It's so true. And you know what this is also reminding me of, that I'm excited to bring this up with you because of your background with health and wholeness and all of that. But is that I feel like our old paradigm was like we're so busy and doing all these things and we are getting a high from it. Like it's like that accomplishment energy high, right? Which I think is a good thing, but it's almost like we've totally taken away how to get a natural high, right? And so we're only just dependent on every day getting a high off of doing, which ends up being so much like just eating junk food all day that's like, or that quick candy bar, or drinking a Monster, or like an energy drink to just keep us going. And what we're really talking about here is tapping into that energy source that is sustainable and that is that flows in us, that we don't have to be always reaching and grabbing outside of ourselves, because that, just like how junk food and Monsters never will fill us up and never will satisfy, but having a slow meal that is wholesome and nutrient dense absolutely satisfies and gives us so much more energy and clarity of mind. I don't know if that metaphor is working for you, but I love that comparison. I'd be curious about your insights.
Absolutely. You're so right. I mean, what we're doing when we're feeding that rushing woman, right? We're feeding that
Yeah.
busy person constantly on the go. She oftentimes, I remember, and I was that girl. I could eat. I remember I was so efficient. I could eat in 5 minutes. I could eat in 5 minutes. I could eat in 5 minutes and be walking. And because I was on my way. So I mean, it was that. Gosh, it's so embarrassing to think back. Like you can think it, I did it. And I was so proud of my ability to be so efficient. And
Yes.
and I'm still very, I'm not that kind of efficient anymore. I'm still very efficient, efficient. I'm not an extreme case of efficiency anymore, because it definitely, believe me, it did not serve. It came to bite me pretty hard. And, but I think about, how we can just, and shove the wrong kind of things into our body to meet a need, right? That we could be getting within ourselves. But I mean, balance is about nourish, right? And so nourishing our career, nourishing our life, nourishing ourselves, nourishing our body, and in taking care of ourselves. I mean, our bodies are a temple. We take care of our cars more than we take care of ourselves. And it's a whole different kind of conversation. But, even at the start of it, when we're creating balance, is to even be mindful of how we eat or what we eat, can start to move the needle. Because I'm not talking about going from, being super busy to being this super serene yoga girl. Like, that's not who I'm trying to have you become. I am not that girl. I just don't know how to be that girl. And because I'm not supposed to be that girl. That's not who I am per se. But I do, I mean, even when I'm thinking about what I'm eating, I mean, all of that comes into play, that you're really nourishing yourself. You're nourishing the mind and you're nourishing the body. And it's not constantly go, go, go. Because, when we're always in the sympathetic nervous system, right? So you think about let's go into biology. Let's get into the hardwiring. Our reptilian brain, which is the limbic brain, and the brainstem, it was hardwired for survival, and it's having a really hard time grappling with the fact that it thinks that when you're stressed, when your adrenaline is up, your cortisol is coursing out of your adrenals, that there has got to be a tiger somewhere. Because that's the reason why that part of the brain was created, was, okay, there are beasts and tigers out there that could get us, and we need to be ready to fight or flight. And now today, particularly women, more than men, we are in that state. Like, you think about, you walk out the door and you're like, oh my God, I totally forgot to turn the such and such off. Like, or you're on your way somewhere and you remembered that you had to pick up your son, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to go pick up my son. And like, the moment you have that moment is you have pumped adrenal into the system, and your brain is like, where's the tiger? Where's the tiger? And then there is no tiger. Your brain is like, I don't even see a tiger anywhere. Like, there's no tiger. And so it's really hard. A lot of the women I'm taking care of, it's adrenal issues, it is thyroid issues, and it's all being driven by this perceived stress that our physiology, our biology isn't kept up with. We were not meant to be so busy, or at least be running around like a chicken with our head cut off, at least, because I remember that's what it felt like for me to be there. Although I was getting a lot accomplished, I was beating up my body every single day, every single moment. I probably sent myself into parasympathetic mode maybe 10 to 30, 20 times a day. I have no idea. And so, and what happens when you go into that state? You absolutely have to feed the beast, and because your blood sugar levels are shot. I mean, a lot of things are happening. Lots of mixed messages are going on. There's a miscommunication and balance of hormones, and we reach for the things like sugar and caffeine and salt to feed a need that is insatiable. You're never going to feed that. And then if you put that kind of stuff into your body, well, there's no nutrition there. There's nothing there. You're literally feeding it emptiness. It's like putting the nozzle into the gas tank, but then never clicking it in. But your brain thinks that there's something in there. Your car may think that there's something in there, and you're just running on fumes. And that just leads to the cascading effect. And so when I was approaching this summit, it wasn't even from a position. Well, it was from a position of, okay, how do we cultivate the life and the joy that we live? But also, I'm also trying to take care of women over here on the health perspective, where I'm getting them where they are so wrapped up in this glorification of busy and this crazy life that they've completely let go of their health, and now they're in a bad state of affairs. And so it's interesting and complicated in that sense. But at the end of the day, at the core of it, it's really it's mindful. It has a lot to do with that belief system. It has a lot to do with being kind to ourselves and giving ourselves permission to say, hey, at some point, I'm going to burn out, and then who am I going to take care of? I'm not going to be able to take care of. I'm not going to be able to live my dreams and live in joy. But then also ask yourself, well, does this feel joyful when I'm doing this? And if
Mm-hmm.
joy is what you want, because I think that ultimately, Quinn, honey, that's what we want. I think the reason why we're doing all
Totally.
the things is to have joy. But I
Yeah,
feel like that very act of trying to get it, we're robbing ourselves of it.
exactly. Oh my gosh, it's so, so true and so, so painful. And in fact, I love that you brought in the physical biochemical aspect of this so much because I feel like especially in our Western allopathic societies that we would have something show up like, oh, there's thyroid things happening or there's adrenal things happening and this conversation doesn't happen. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like
no.
it is not this conversation at all. It's insanity, truly.
It's not this conversation at all. And what breaks my heart even more, like truly breaks my heart, because I see it every single day, is that we're being misdiagnosed as well. We're being misdiagnosed with
Mm,
depression and anxiety, or we're being thrown a lot of pills, and that's not what the core of the issue is. It's not.
yeah.
And it's not fixing the core of the problem. There's a lot of, and not to say that we don't need practitioners, because there's so many incredible practitioners that can get us on our path. And sometimes it's just too much to do this journey alone. And you shouldn't have to ever do this journey alone. You should have an entourage of people that love and care for you, just like you love and care for your children. And but note that you get to be an active participant. This is your life to live. This is your body that you get to be in, and you get to be an active participant. And so I talk a lot about being the CEO of your body, being the CEO of your life, and being empowered. I don't know, for me, it is so empowering to know that I get to live in the flow of my joy. I feel like I have like this super
Mm,
secret. And, because I figured it out because it took so long to get there, but it is empowering, and it's a blessing and a gift that we all get to have. It's just a matter of when we're going to choose in, because once you decide to choose in, I promise the people, the practitioners, the teachers, the sages, they're going to show up for you. They're going to show up for you, and they're going to be there to help you to create your life, because it's not about doing this on your own. It's just about coming to a place where you decide, I am deserving of the joy that I want to live. And I am deserving of a happy, healthy body, because it's really hard to be happy when you're not feeling healthy.
mm. Oh my gosh. It's so true and so man, I'm cheering you on. I love everything that you've just shared. And I just hope that all of you listening, if this is really resonating with your hearts, that you will choose in like Mariza is inviting you to do. It truly is that step that changes everything. So, Mariza, I know that we could just talk all day because it's so fun and there's so many amazing
So much
things.
fun.
I know. I'm wondering if you have any like final big insights or anything you wanted to kind of tie in a bow before we close on this whole topic. And then I would love for you to also share about your upcoming summit. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I want to share that we love you, that you are loved, and that ultimately what I want for you is to feel that same love for yourself, to tune into your body and to check in with what really matters to you, because you deserve that. And it could be through, like I mentioned before, through journaling, or maybe it's a guided meditation on an app. There's some wonderful guided meditations on there, even if it's 1 or 2 minutes, or starting to just sit down in front of some images and figure out exactly what you want to create. And so that's what I would recommend. And I also want to say that it doesn't have to be overly complicated. And I don't want to, never want to put you in a place of overwhelm, but a place that really does serve. So there's a lot of wonderful, simple, beautiful habits that you can begin. And it could just start with, making a juice or making a smoothie, or it could just start with taking 5 minutes outside to step outside in nature and get recharged. There's all these little ways that we can punctuate, loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves, and that you absolutely 100% deserve to do that.
Amen. I love it. I'm just seeing that as you're saying that, I think one of the beliefs here again, getting back into conversation, but it's so good. One of the beliefs that we had, I know I had it forever, was that it's impossible for me to ever get filled. Like you just get to that empty place where you've been running so much that you feel like it's impossible. And so with everything that you've heard in this conversation today and everything Mariza just shared, man, believe it is possible, and it can be simple, and it can be naturally working in and fitting into your life and what you want to create. I love it.
Absolutely. It's so poignant, those words. I love that.
So fun. Oh, so okay. Tell us about your amazing summit. This is, you guys, this is so incredible what Mariza has put together. And truly, I feel so spoiled and honored that I was asked to be a speaker in this summit. And so you'll get to hear from me and a bunch of other speakers. But Mariza, tell them a little bit more. It's just so good.
Oh my gosh, this has been probably one of the biggest blessings. And definitely, I'm not going to lie, a little labor of love, but love 100%. But we have, we have 32 speakers coming on, and we have just a breath. Oh my gosh. And really the purpose when I brought on these speakers, including our amazing Quinn here, that it was about providing resources and diving in and making it simple. And the great thing about it too is so many of these amazing experts that are coming on have been there. And so they lend to those experiences as well. So you're getting the resources, and I promise they are actionable and they are doable, and you're going to walk away with so much amazing resources to get started on the path that you want to create to your amazing life. But it's 32 speakers. It's over the course of 4 days. During the summit, it's entirely free. So all of the presentations are free. So just pick the ones that gravitate and connect with you. The titles, the person, and a little summary of their talk will be on the website as well, which is going up today or tomorrow. And so I just welcome everyone to come and join us and to get your fill and to fill your soul with some incredible resources. And a lot of them, a lot of it's very, very practical. So I'm all about practicality. I'm all about those call to actions, but I'm about simplicity. And so I was very specific a lot with my presenters, because I wanted you to be able to walk away with something that felt very real, but also felt very, very doable.
It's going to be so good, and I'm so excited. So this is August 4th through the 7th. And so at the time of this recording, when Mariza's saying that it'll be up any day now, it will definitely be up when this episode, when you're listening to it and it's airing. And so we'll have the link in the show notes so you can hop on over and get registered. I cannot believe that it's free, Mariza. That's like the best gift to the world ever. Like,
absolutely.
Sweet thing.
We have so much. That's what it's about, right? We're trying to change the world by giving so much back. It's definitely free, and there's going to be a lot of lots of cheat sheets and bonuses that go with the that are free with the summit as well, to get you prepped and get you ready. So we're trying to get you prepared. And then, if indeed you are loving all of the summits, you're loving everything, you can always the transcript, cliff notes, all of the even extra bonuses. We have bonuses on the back end. We got bonuses on the front end. It will all be available for a very inexpensive price as well. So that's the great thing about it, that it's going to be free while we're doing it. But then if you absolutely feel like, oh my gosh, this information was so incredible, it's going to be available for such an incredibly great price. And so I just want to give people a heads up on that as well.
Oh, so many good options. I'm so excited. And Mariza, it has just been a joy to have you on. And if you don't mind, just in closing, I would love to just do some rapid fire questions with you. Are you up for that?
Absolutely.
For playing? Okay, so I want you to give us specifics and like just what comes to mind first on what joy looks like in 3 key areas. So I'll tell you as we get going. So, okay. Okay, so your first is, or maybe there's going to be 4 key areas. My counting might be off, but we're going to be great. Okay, so the first is, what does joy look like with friends? Like, what are your favorite things to do with your friends?
Oh my goodness. I love chatting with my girlfriends. I love chatting with my girls. I love walking, hiking, doing things that are really healthy and nourishing. I love getting together for brunches. I love activity like going to yoga. So all of those, I just love connecting with my girls. I am a huge thing of community. I love connecting with communities. I'm very extrovert, so I love going out and I love laughing and joking. I had the privilege this weekend to be with so many different friends for events, and one of my best friends actually got engaged when we were at their housewarming party, and it
So
was just this
fun.
amazing moment. But I love those little moments, and I think it's so important to make time to see your friends, 2 hours a week to connect with one of your girlfriends, even if it's over the phone or over Skype or whatever it may be. But I can't get enough of hanging out with my girls.
I love it. Okay, next area, joy with your spouse.
Ah, I'm very blessed. I'm with Alex a lot because we work together. We get to work
So
together.
good. And he's so
And
cute. You guys are the best couple. I
oh
love
my
it.
God, he's so sweet. He's so cute. He's working on stuff right now. Well, he better be. No, I'm kidding. So I love hiking with my husband. We go on hikes because we live really close to the redwoods, and we can connect there. I clearly love snuggles, but I love good conversations where we got some good music on, and we have oils diffusing in the back room. So I love that connection. I love taking walks on the lake. And I love I love the healthy activities that we get to do together because it feels like it's really fueling our bodies. And I love that we're taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other. So those are my favorite things.
So good. Okay. And then the final area is joy, your favorite ways that you feel joy with yourself. And this could also go with your creator, the universe.
Absolutely. I love gratitude journaling to God and the universe. I love my affirmations. I love reading. I love time for reflection. So I like walking. Sometimes I like hiking or walking the lake by myself, to kind of connect there. But and I love my morning ritual. I love the moment that I am taking care of me first before the onslaught of everybody else comes, right? So via Facebook or my email, the moment I open those things up, I never know what's going to be in there. So always taking a little bit of a moment for me. For some people, it may not be in the morning, but for me, it is the morning. And so I love like my moment to gratitude journal, 3 to 5 minutes of meditation and getting my mind right for the day, and just loving up on me. So those are ways that I love to do that.
Oh, it's so yummy. Thank you so much, Mariza. Those are all so, I love what that rapid fire round does because it sparks things in all of us, even to just recognize more joyful activity or joyful experiences. So thank you so much for sharing.
Ooh, and I love to put on really pretty high heels.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes, you do. You look great in them too. I love it. It's so fun. In fact, it was so cute. You know Ashley Miller, and she was on Joyful Living, one of the probably about 20 or 30 episodes ago, but she was saying that joyful living looks like a pair of great high heels.
Absolutely.
You can probably
I
resonate.
totally agree. I was in these little orange numbers over the weekend, and I got so many compliments. I was working those shoes.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Oh my goodness. Well, it has just been an absolute delight to have you on the show, Mariza. Thank you so much for joining us and bringing your heart and your soul and your insights and years of wisdom and study. And we're just so grateful for everything you brought here and so grateful you could come.
Oh, absolutely. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Quinn, for having me.
Oh, my pleasure too. And thank you to all of you listening. We are so grateful and cheering you on in your joy path and in creating greater harmony and balance in your daily lives. So much love to all of you, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.
And in the end, only love will last.
You've been listening to Joyful Living. If you haven't already done so, be sure to email me at quinn@joyfullivingmovement.com so I can send you our yummy Joyful Living welcome package filled with lots of awesomeness, including access to our private Joyful Living network. I read every email from my listeners and would love to hear from you. Also, be sure to leave a review on iTunes, and most importantly, have a joy-filled day.